Dumelang Batswana ko gae. This is Ketumile Ramatiti from the Weekend Post, and in our weekly insightful conversation today, where we are discussing the opposition impasse, the state of affairs of the opposition parties in Botswana. In the studio, I'm having Mr. Alfred Masokola, who is the deputy editor here in Weekend Post, and let me take this time to introduce him to the show.
Thank you, Ramatiti.
Thank you. My pleasure for you to have honored our inviter.
Yes, it's a very interesting conversation, I think, that we are going to have.
Right. First thing first, quite more in our political space, yes, especially opposition parties.
Yes.
Currently, there is impasse, let me say, between the Botswana National Front and Botswana Congress Party, especially for Bophirima Ward. What is your view on the state of affairs within the UDC?
I think one of the most important things to understand how this thing started. It started way back in 2019 after general elections. Remember, after general elections, BCP did well and BNF didn't do well. And then the BCP Youth League released a statement saying, among other things that they said, they blamed the UDC leader for the loss of the UDC because they were expecting victory. So they said he should resign. So that is where the first conflict started, and it has been building over the years. And you know there are many issues that were raised by BCP MPs, even the leader of Botswana Congress Party over the last 2 years or so. So I'll say it's a crisis.
One of the issues that has been raised by the BCP, including their leader, Mr. Ketumile Ramatiti, has been the democratization of the UDC. What is your view? Do you think we are there yet? The UDC is there yet to democratize its affairs?
No, I don't think the current structure of UDC makes it practical to democratize. I'm saying this because we have to understand that the basis why this coalition exists in the first place is to cooperate, and it's a compromise, is to say we should not contest against each other. So, and one of the things that is going to happen if they were to maybe embrace a democratizing issue, the coalition, is that we are going to have a situation where one of the parties is marginalized, especially the one that doesn't win. For instance, if BCP was to field a presidential candidate for UDC and the BNF does the same, and whoever loses, it can mean a lot of things. It can mean that they are not represented in the ANC. So I don't think there's any party that wants to go that route, unless they change the current structure, like the way Ketumile Ramatiti has suggested in the past, that they should merge and just form one big party in which there will be just a single party and then the other parties are dissolved. But under the current arrangement, it cannot work.
Right. It has been building, like you are saying. Right now, there's an issue. Bonington South constituency, precisely, Bophirima Ward. UDC or BNF has fielded Mankisekete as their candidate for the ward. But this morning, Botswana Congress Party, after their weekend Central Committee meeting, they've made a resolution that they are going to field another candidate, Mr. Peter Mogapi, to represent them, even using the BCP logo, not as a UDC candidate.
It's a big statement on the side of BCP. They are telling their partners that they are ready to go alone. And I don't want to rush and blame BCP for its decisions. So I think we have to understand what was the agreement before. I mean, in terms of representation when it comes to by-election. What was the agreement? Whoever broke the agreement, then he's responsible for what is happening currently. And then the fact that they cannot sit down and discuss it, it shows you UDC currently is under serious crisis.
Right. A serious crisis, the mature leadership. Do you think Duma Boko, president of Botswana National Front, and Dumelang Salashando, who is the leader of Botswana Congress Party, do you think
they can't? I know I'm going to be, they are going to come after me for this, but I can confidently say Dumelang Salashando and Duma Boko, they cannot work together.
Why?
I think these are two strong personalities who strongly feel that they should lead the coalition. And I think going back, one of the reasons why the initial cooperation talks, the one that happened in 2011, didn't materialize is because we had these two egos clashing. Of course, there will be always other side issues where you see people saying the constituencies, but that was not the main reason. It's the same thing that is happening today. The main reason is not, they're not fighting for those wards and constituencies. It is these two personalities, especially, you know, BCP has been clear that they want Dumelang Salashando to lead the coalition. And also, it's partly one of the reasons why Dumelang Salashando want these parties to merge and become one entity. And also, you've seen a number of BCP activists, some who are holding high-profile positions in the party, promoting the candidacy of Dumelang Salashando. So, naturally, it creates a conflict between these two, because Bogo is not ready to leave. He still wants to lead UDC to the next general elections. And BCP feels strongly that Bogo is not the right leader at the moment, and Salashando should take over. So that is the current status of the UDC. And like as you said, Koza, the way you asked the question, can they work together? They can't. They can't. They can't. They have proved that they can't. Because if they had that willingness to work together, we should not be at this particular time talking about what is happening at Bophirima Ward in Gaborone. It's a simple issue.
Talking about what has been agreed by we are going to speak specifically about Botswana Congress Party and Botswana National Front.
Yes.
It's already a People's Party.
Yeah.
What was the agreement? BNF, on the other side, they would say a resolution was taken by the UDC NEC that those who contested 2019 elections, in a case of by-election, they should be the one who are representing them. But BCP on the other side, a resolution was taken where they should. It is about management of constituencies and of wards.
Yeah.
What do you know about the agreement that was made? I
think it's difficult because both parties cannot agree on the resolutions of the UDC. Both parties have two different versions of what was agreed by the UDC. I think one example to show that UDC is not functional at this particular moment or since 2019 general elections. But what I know from the letter that I've seen is that, remember after BMD was kicked out, these constituencies and the wards were shared among these remaining partners, especially the BNF and the BCP, because I don't remember BPP claiming any constituency or what. And then what happened, because there's a term or a language that they use in the UDC that all constituencies and wards, they belong to the UDC. The parties are only given the mandate to manage. This management means finding a candidate and recommend it to the UDC for fielding. So I think that is what has been happening. That is the agreement that I know for now. But now, you know, it is up to them to decide if they have the other resolution which says those who were representing the party in 2019 should represent the party now. Then they should agree on it, whether is it true or not. If it's not true, then why are they not sticking to their earlier decision? Because I don't want to blame the BCP. If the agreement was that the BCP is responsible for picking a candidate, then that is the agreement, they should stick to it. Yes. Both parties have that responsibility, the BNF, the UDC. And we should also be mindful of the fact that there is a difference between the BNF and the UDC. And there are many interests, the BNF interest and the BCP interest. And then what I see happen is that the BNF is promoting their interest as the interest of the UDC, or their decisions, or what they want as what has been agreed by the UDC, which in some instance we have seen BCP be marginalized. I think that is why you see BCP going to this extent of taking a radical decision, because it's a radical decision. We won't expect at this particular time in a coalition to have BCP competing against UDC.
What would be the BNF interest?
I think, like I said, when I mentioned where this conflict arises from, the BNF want control of the UDC, total control of the UDC. I think it's safe to say there's no brotherhood anymore between these two parties. They cannot sit down and discuss and agree. And you know what was happening even last year? There was a time when the BCP was not participating in the NEC meetings. There was a time when they were saying Boko is not coming for NEC meetings. And even I think they were even saying it even today at the press conference that Boko doesn't come and attend NEC meetings. So I think it's a very difficult thing for ordinary people or people who are outside, who are not part of it, to understand really what is happening in the UDC.
What is happening in Bophirima right now happened again. Go Ludubadumani East by elections.
Yeah.
BNF came with a candidate, BCP also came with a candidate.
Yeah.
Later on, they managed to solve the differences, and BNF candidate prevailed.
Yes.
Don't you think the Bophirima Ward debacle could have been solved better?
Yes, of course it could.
And how so?
They have to talk. This is a party. You know, a party makes decisions, not individuals. They agree to what they think is in the best interest of the party. That is why earlier I was saying the problem is that we don't know which resolution is the correct one as far as candidates for by-elections are concerned, because we had BNF saying something else and then we have BCP saying something else. So I think Boko and Saloshan, they should be able to sit down and talk as leaders to say, look, what we are doing is not in the interest of the opposition parties or in the interest of the UDC. So we should take our interest and put it aside, and let's do what is important for what is in the interest of the UDC.
Because from my understanding, I know the UDC currently, especially after the Memorandum of Understanding and Memorandum of Agreement that seeks to receive both APA and Botswana Patriotic Front.
Yeah.
There is what is called Joint Elections Committee. There is also Opposition Forum.
Yes.
I think it is chaired by Menash. The structure enough to solve
I think one of the most difficult things to do, especially for AP and BPF, is that they are not yet part of the UDC, or they don't have at least any agreement in terms of working together. They're still working on it. So they had just a loose agreement on how they are going to work together. And remember, AP and BPF, they are talking that when they were engaging UDC, not BNF or the BCP. So a word like the Bophirima one, it pits UDC and not UDC, BNF and BCP against each other, because both parties belong to the UDC. So I think at this particular time, it's difficult for all these parties that are outside the UDC to have any meaningful impact in terms of deciding what should happen. And remember, AP released a statement, by the way, saying they are withdrawing their interest in the what, and they are giving way for Botswana Congress Party. Yes, that's what they said, because they were saying Botswana Congress Party has done the same in previous by-elections. I don't know about that. Maybe you are.
Yes, what I understand is BCP in the past by-elections,
Yes.
last year, I think it was end of last year, they gave Ketumile Ward to AP. They also gave they gave Lentswele West or East, yes, to AP. This is despite the 2019 performances,
Yes.
where BCP were runners up.
Yeah.
And also, I think they also did the same ko Tamasan. They also yielded and gave other opposition party a chance to contest. Talking about compromise.
Yes.
Yes.
So, and I think that's one of the bases BCP has decided to take the decision that they have taken to say, look, guys, we have been working with you and we listened to you, we compromised, and we think it's time for you to also compromise for us. But like I was saying, the BCP was compromising for these other two parties that were outside the umbrella. The problem is now that these two parties, the BCP and the BNF, both inside the umbrella. Because all candidates, remember all candidates that contested in 2019, whether it's BNF or BCP, they were UDC candidates. Yes. Even you won't even know whether this one was BCP or was BNF. So that is why the two parties have to make a decision. Yes.
We've had Dumani, as I said earlier on. Right now we have Bophirima. Tomorrow there's a chance another by-election. You could do way to solve this recurring problem.
I want to take you back to the talks that happened after 2015.
Yes.
Remember, before that, in 2011, the initial talks or the second talks, you had conveners. And there was a wisdom in having conveners, because those were people who did not have a direct interest in terms of whether to contest what constituency, what. So the primary reason why they had them was them to provide counsel, to provide guidance, and to ensure that there's peace and stability in a coalition. Because coalitions have this tendency of being unstable. You know that. They are delicate.
Yes.
So the moment the conveners were chased away, there was that risk of instability. I think the current situation is going to be difficult to resolve. I think we are going to continue seeing this mess until the next election, because the two leaders cannot talk to each other. They cannot talk to each other to arrive at a decision which is in the interest of the UDC.
Yes, I'm saying this because in the past I have posed the same question to, I think to Rasal Shando or even Raboko. Or don't you think there is need within the UDC to have a structure, so it's independent, so let's say Bahol, or in case of this, they can smoke peace pipe between you. But both of them, mathata ke a rona go bata rona ra buisana ha re ka ke a rona re palwa ke mathata motho o mongwe a tswa ko ntata gore a solvela. That is why ke go botsa potso.
Yeah, that and that answer, if they say that, it also shows you that they are not willing to compromise. They are not willing to, because they can't say they will resolve the problems that they are facing, because already it is proving difficult for them to resolve the problems that they are facing currently.
Right.
So they need an outsider, but an outsider won't do much when the two guys have decided that it's fuck, they are not going to work with each other, because that's the stage that they have reached now.
Yes.
Because these are mature guys that you expect to sit down or take your call, to speak to each other, and just reach a simple decision to say, no, this is what we agreed, comrade. So this is what is going to happen. And change can only, when you change an earlier agreement, we had to have an understanding that, no, we are changing the agreement that we had in 2019, and now this is the new agreement, and both parties have to agree to that.
Right.
But we don't see that. Yeah, we see the other party pulling this direction, the other party pulling this direction. So it's a crisis.
And Like you are saying, it is a crisis. Do you think this can inspire confidence? Botswana Patriotic Front and Alliance for Progressives to join the UDC?
No. I think, remember even last year, these two parties, they have made it clear that they are not willing to be part of UDC. And they were saying that when UDC was in a better state than it is today. So I don't think there's anything that can convince them to be willing to be part of UDC. So they want an arrangement where they can work together, but to maintain their brands. So I don't think at this particular time AP and BPF are willing to be under UDC, especially when they see what is happening and the risks associated with it.
From where you are sitting, do you think that's going to go 2024 BCP is part of UDC?
There are certain structural challenges that may force them to continue being in the UDC. One of them is that they can't leave their seats in parliament. They can't resign and become BCP MPs. Well, because of that new act, which essentially prevents that. In case you want to do that, you are going to lose your seat. I don't think BCP is willing to do that at this particular moment. But they can continue campaigning on BCP brand, knowing that in 2024 they'll contest as BCP, or they'll start engaging other potential partners such as AP and BPF to form sort of another coalition. Or even BNF can do the same.
Yes.
It can do the same. It can start negotiating. It can start preparing for life after BCP. Because this movie, what is happening currently, we have seen it before, right? Yes. We have seen it before. We have seen it after 2014 general elections when the BCP was brought on board. We have seen the BNF or the UDC becoming indifferent to what was happening to the BMD when they went to the Bobono Congress that eventually led to their split. So the writing was on the wall that the UDC was going to do without BMD anyway. So even now, I can confidently tell you that these guys, they will reach the stage where they know they are ready not to work with each other.
What is the strength? Are we the strength? Let's say BCP, Lone BNF, because like you are saying, or maybe preparations are on to prepare for life after UDC. Who would be more attractive to other opposition parties to work with?
Okay. Now, let's look at 2019 general elections result.
Yes.
BCP was the biggest winner. It came out of that elections with 11 seats.
Yes.
Out of the 15 that were won by the UDC. BNF had 4, which I think is their lowest number of seats since 1989. Yes, their lowest. So in terms of ground, I'll say BCP has more strongholds than the BNF. Remember, most of BNF strongholds, not most, actually, all BNF strongholds are in the south. In the south, BDP also believe that under Masisi, they can claim it. You understand? So, and BNF used to have a stronghold in Gaborone constituencies. But I don't think you can confidently say BNF has numbers here as we speak today, because the last time BNF won constituencies and when they were contesting as a single party on their own was in 2004. Remember 2009 BNF performed badly, and for the first time they lost control of the Gaborone City Council. They had no constituents in Gaborone for the first time since 1984. So since then, we know 2014 they contested under the coalition that was under UDC, and they had BMD at that time. And then 2019 it was also a coalition. So the strength of BNF is not yet known, unless we can just base it on the history, 20, 30 years ago history. But I don't think they have such the strongholds, they still have them the way they had them in the past. But with BCP, if you look at the strengths at BCP in the Northwest, those constituencies, I know some will say, no, they want those constituencies because they were under UDC, BNF. Of course, it might be true, BNF contributed in other political parties. But also look at 2014 numbers. It's very unfortunate that BCP didn't win a lot of constituencies, but they had numbers, especially Northwest. Remember, even in Ngami, they won it before. Even in Mau, those two constituencies, Mau, they did well, even though they didn't win. And Okavango is their stronghold, that one. They always win it. And which other constituency in Chobe? So even though it was won by BDP again, but you know BCP has numbers there. And then in Kange, also they can say they won it because of UDC, but remember, never had numbers in 2014. He had numbers. So BCP, maybe they are confident that if they were to go alone, they can still bring a significant number of seats. I'm not sure about winning power, because I don't think alone they can win power. But for BNF, there's a lot to do. Yeah, there's a lot to do. They had to go back to see if they still have the strength they had 20, 30 years ago in the South. Yes.
BCP it should be respected. And this is why they have them, but they should be respected. Because there's no communication, there's no nothing. Maybe like transitional clause. It has been overtaken by events at the UDC. The constitution and discard the transitional clause.
Yeah, and then here again you see the interest of both parties come into play. Because the BNF does not want any change in the current UDC. They want the status quo to remain the same, because it helps them to maintain being the leader in the coalition. And then the BCP want change because they want also opportunity maybe to lead the coalition. And also they want, BCP has always been promoting itself as a democratic party. And you cannot blame them, because they are the only party that have held their Congress since 2019, only party in Botswana. So it's part of their commitment to democracy. You cannot question them on that. And then the respect that you are talking about is possibly because these guys cannot work together since 2019. They can't work together. That is why you see there's not that respect, because they are fighting. So it's very difficult sometimes to respect somebody that you are fighting with. Especially when I think BNF thinks the UDC, the BCP wants to take over the leadership of the UDC. So naturally BNF are defensive. That is why you see BNF, they don't want any change at all. They want this to be maintained. That is why even, I think Moiti Mwasa, the spokesperson, last year said, no, we are not going to have any Congress where we elect leadership until the next general elections, which effectively means Boko is going to lead opposition coalition again. But is BCP going to accept that? We don't know, and I don't think so.
Yes. The current happenings, especially, we are always going to refer to Bophirima Ward.
Yeah.
Would you say they spell for BCP to pull out?
There is what?
What is happening right now? Would you say BCP the end of the BCP inside the umbrella?
I think it's a big statement. I don't think nobody expected BCP to contest against UDC. It is not a simple decision, and I know, or they know the implication of that. They know the implication that their relationship with BNF will never be the same after this by-election. It doesn't matter what is going to happen. The fact that, you remember there were other allegations before this, the Duma and this coming by-election, that BCP was sponsoring independent candidates, especially those who belong to the party, to contest against other their comrades, to contest against UDC candidates and various, not only in the by-elections actually, it also, the allegations go as far as the 2019 general elections. And it is one of the things that was raised by BNF comrades, saying BNF participated badly in the 2019 general elections because PCP sabotaged it, yeah. So I think BCP is ready to leave the UDC, because the decisions, the resolution that they've made is very clear. They are willing to contest against UDC, and they are not going to listen to UDC anymore, because UDC has not been listening to them.
Right.
Yes.
Would you say there is alternative apart from the BDP?
I remember when I was having a conversation with my friend Omotom Krah, he was saying, BDP is always that close to losing power, especially since 2014. But somewhere, somehow, opposition will find a way of saving BDP. So I think that is the same is going to happen. People will be saying, no, this is the worst BDP in history, you want to remove it, it has to go, you understand? But is there alternative, is there a strong party? Because winning, I think opposition, they have to understand that winning power is not just saying good things, saying, we are going to have a corrupt-free government, we are going to create jobs. There are so many structural challenges that you have to overcome. And one of them is that you must be organized as a party. You must have candidates who are ready, your messages to reach the right people. Organization, you need it. It's a guarantee, that one. And without it, you're not going to win government. And BDP is well-resourced. And wait for their primary elections, you'll see the strength of the BDP, because they'll be going all out, registering people, doing, what they always do. And at this juncture, opposition is fighting. They shouldn't be fighting at this juncture, because we are just, how many years? 2 years away from general elections, actually. Just 2 years. And at this juncture, you should be ready for general elections if you want to be the next government. And unfortunately, I don't think with this kind of leadership that we have in the opposition, BDP will lose power in 2019. They will win.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Alfred Masokola. It has been pleasure for our conversation. All right. Thank you, Lelona Batswana Golapeng, for watching this insightful show, and we'll keep conversing with you. Next week, we'll be having something, talking about politics, talking about social issues, everything system and selecting, so that Lelona let's say Carlo mo Lelona let's say Carlo mo di khanyen tse di ragala mo latseng la rona. From us, it is a pleasure. Thank you so much.